Good morning and welcome to the Avenue Uniting Church in Blackburn, Victoria, meeting on the lands of the Wurundjeri people. My name's Rod Peppiatt, the minister here. And we come ever closer to the celebration of Easter. And our story today comes from John's Gospel, and it's a visit of Jesus to dear friends and an act of love that happens there. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those reclining with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the one who was about to betray him, said, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept the common purse and used to steal what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." The story is told of a beach where thousands of starfish had washed up on the shore. A man walking along the beach noticed a young girl picking up starfish and throwing them back into the water. "What are you doing?" he said. "There's so many starfish washing up, they're all going to die. What difference can you make when there are so many?" The little girl paused with a starfish in her hand, ready to throw. "It makes a difference to this one," she said. She did what she could. And yes, I know that many people regard starfish as a pest, but that's not the point. Another story is told of a compassionate woman who acted in grace and love. It's an old story. Her name is Mary. John's Gospel tells this particular version of it, but there are versions of it in each of the Gospels, each told in its own way. In this telling, much of the interest centres around Jesus' response to Mary's action. Around Judas's response to Mary's action and Jesus' response to Judas. We'll get to that, but let's think about Mary for a moment first. She takes a costly perfume and massages it into Jesus' feet. Can you sense the pleasure and the comfort Jesus receives in this? I know I can. And can you imagine or sense her care, her gentleness? There's already a sense of intimacy in this. And then she wipes his feet with her hair. And you can almost hear the collective intake of breath. Speaking of intimacy, let's pause for a moment with the extravagance of this touch. Shocking, probably, and met with an awkward silence, particularly by the men in the room. "Did you see that?" And then up steps Judas. "What a waste! Why wasn't the money given to the poor?" Then John, the narrator, does what I think is a fairly heavy editorial comment. Judas isn't worried about the poor. He's a thief more interested in lining his own pocket. John's Gospel's the only one, I think, to make this claim. And clearly now Judas's status as the betrayer now colours all assessments of his character and his actions, and he's forever the villain. But interestingly, if we apply the logic of doing the best with the resources you have, the more bang for your buck argument, and we put aside the questioning of Judas's motive for a moment, I think we'd have to agree that he's correct. Surely more people could have been served with the money involved in this perfume. And here's where it gets really interesting for me, because here's where we see Jesus' response to Judas. Leave her alone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me. What's happening here? Are Mary and Jesus placing his needs above others? Well, maybe that's true, but true for this moment, his moment of need. This moment of Mary's extravagant compassion for a person in need. Not the poor, but a person in need. Whatever his motive, and let's assume the best of him for a moment, that's what Jesus doesn't see. In talking about the poor, all people who are poor are kind of lumped together in a way, almost reduced to a sort of amorphous category and kind of dehumanised at. And not only that, the poor become a problem to be solved, knowing that the problem will never really be solved. And that can be overwhelming because we can end up doing nothing because we can't do enough. And for me, a big part of the power in this story is that Mary is not overwhelmed by what she can't do. She does something. She does what she can for a person in his moment of poverty in spirit. And Jesus says to Judas and all of the others scandalised by her actions something like this: you will always have opportunity to share and care for people who are poor, just as Mary has done for me. She has done what she can for now. With extravagant compassion and grace, Mary attends to the needs of a man for whom she cares. In this moment, she does what she can. Blessings.